My parents were not the sort to let me lead a carefree childhood. I had actual sets of padding for different activities, knee pads and elbow pads for biking, then another set for hiking, and a third specifically for winter activities. Don't even ask me how many helmets I owned before the age of 10. I once saw a group of children at the mall diving for quarters in the fountain. "They're going to get sick," my mother noted, pointing to the soaking wet ruffians. "That water was recycled over and over again. People spit in there." As if that weren't enough of a lesson, the point was reinforced later when I was sat down with colored pencils and was told to draw what happened to those kids. My sketch of 3 young children sick in bed with visible diseases crawling all over them seemed to show that I'd gotten the idea. The picture hung proudly in the kitchen for months afterwards and was quite the conversation piece. I guess I shouldn't have been so surprised when I was allowed to use the family's new computer. Well, except for the learning games I had no interest in. Math Badger, Spelling Dragons, History Blaster. None of those titles fooled me. You can't just throw in a fun noun into the second half of the title and expect kids to ignore the rest. Still, I was at a loss every time I was told I could not, under any circumstances, use the internet. Well, the World Wide Web, as they called it. My parents refused to budge on this issue until the next PTA meeting at the snooty private school I'd been shoved into. All it took to turn them right round was a few upper-crust parents talking about how much their children were learning on the web. Our little Donnie is already doing complex algebra thanks to his weekly video conferences with one of the world's most accomplished mathematicians. Yeah. The minute I saw my mom and dad that night, I knew I'd regret ever asking to go on the World Wide Web in the first place. Now they were excited, almost fiendishly so, and they were prepared with a litany of handwritten URLs quickly jotted onto napkins. Napkins marked with, I kid you not, the school's obnoxious letterhead. "We're going to install software," Dad noted, wasting no time before scooting in front of the PC. "It'll keep you out of the bad areas and make sure you can only get into the worthwhile sites." Worthwhile, meaning it would advance their plans for me, and bad, meaning nearly every byte of content ever created. I didn't stick around for the floor show, but I could hear the two of them mumbling and echoing each other's opinions as I got ready for bed and tucked myself in, as per usual. I'll never forget the one sentence I could clearly make out as I drifted to sleep. "Nancy Net." Mom sounded as if she'd found the cure for cancer. "I think I've heard that one. Let's give it a shot." From that evening on, I learned to hate the internet. I dreaded the feel of the keys beneath my fingers, and the sound of its dial-up modem groaning and screaming to life made my stomach drop. Even the familiar sound of a new email arriving was just the death knell for another wasted sunny afternoon. One day, out of sheer disinterest and depression, I started striking the keys just enough to make it sound like I was working, but lightly enough to enter no actual information. Using this tactic, I converted hours of mindless memorization into the somehow comforting act of pointlessly staring at a screensaver. Did I mention my parents had programmed the specific sites I was allowed to access? There was no chance of anything fun or interesting slipping in here. No, they'd kept the reins tight. "How are you doing, sweetheart?" Mom would occasionally pop in and repeat that exact phrase as if I wouldn't notice it was simply her most well-rehearsed line of dialogue in this farce. At that point, I would actually start typing. The screensaver would vanish, showing the project I'd been ignoring for up to an hour. "Fine, Mom." "Are you memorizing everything? Let us know if you have any trouble." "No, Mom." "Good." Her next tactic was always to offer a break from the current workload, in the form of a different yet equally mundane task. That's the problem with growing up in a wealthy family with its sights set so high. You just want to be a normal kid, but there's too much expected of you. When you're done with the forgotten texts of Omina, you can switch to advanced bioweaponry or tactics of genocide. Would you like that? I guess. I still understand why they've always fought so hard to protect me from the dangers of a world that's just going to end in flames anyway.